Great, we've just landed in CIRENCESTOR. Now, we've been to CIRENCESTOR before. What a beautiful place it is. It's full of charm and beauty and wonderful architecture. And talking about the architecture, we're talking about Holy Trinity Church. Now, this church was built in 1872, so you think, well, hang on, it's not that old. But it is. As always, it's built on older foundations. Now, what's interesting about it is said that the Grail was in the area between 49 AD and 78 AD, which then means that the Grail would have been in this vicinity for some 29 years, if we believe in the Grail, for whatever that means to each and every one of us, really. The church itself has got some beautiful things around it. I want to take you around and show you, and we'll try and take our time on this one and really show you properly. We're blessed that we've got the church to ourselves today. Must have known we were coming, really. When I was outside, it's quite interesting. When I was outside, I just had a lovely little white feather come down right in front of the doorway as I was about to come in, and then the white feather flushed off straight up into the air and disappeared. How wonderful is that, if you believe in the meanings of feathers and things, which is a story for another day. Look at this beautiful, absolutely beautiful artwork. I love the fact that we've got the griffin, but have we? It's more the phoenix, really, isn't it? We've got the beautiful phoenix here. So the birth and rebirth and afterlife and blah, 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 really. But the main thing is, it's lovely to have such artwork in the church itself. Let's go round here and just show you. I say it's got a beautiful feel to it. It's a large church and beautifully, beautifully kept, to be honest. There's a charade of relatively modern, in the sense, and older style stained glass windows. In particular, let's just show you the first one. If we can see on the left-hand side there, we can see we've got the Templar shield in the back, we've got the Maltese cross, and he's praying there. So that's a knight, a very early style knight, really, to be honest. Downward below, again, we've got three angels. We've got, obviously, Michael, Gabriel, and then we've got another angel. Interesting, who could that be? Or is it another angel? It's not, is it? Because what it is, it's about the ascension. So we have Michael and Gabriel at the table holding the chalice, holding the Grail. The guy above that's been praying for ascension is now got his wings. You see that? So it travels downwards to tell the story, which is quite interesting. All in all, it's a lovely piece of artwork. To the right-hand side of that, we have the blue, we have the Mary Magdalene. Obviously, we have on the left at the top, we have on the right at the top as well. Top right, so on the table there. We can see she's holding the Grail, and she's got the disciples around her. But then, is or is that not the Jesus at the other end of the table, in blue robes? Now that's quite interesting, because the true colour of Christianity, or the true colour of the craft, will always be blue robes. Yes, there's whites and purples and reds and different colours, but it always ends up with blue robes. We can see just below the Jesus in the portrayal is we've got Jacob's ladder. Always very interesting. I love the things that are actually on the Jacob's ladder, to be fair. And the fact that there's a man, again in a blue robe, at the bottom, could be the Jesus. At the bottom of the ladder, dreaming of his aspirations, dreaming of usually doing the right thing in life. So, many tales within that particular piece of artwork. If we just travel around, one of the oldest pieces in the church, which is very nice as well, is this wonderful font. Which would be beautiful to see it. It's a beautiful, beautiful marble. I just love how the grain's there so naturally. Excuse my voice, guys. As you know, my voice is in and out, so we'll try and keep it going as much as we can. Very nice piece. Sometimes the most simplest things are the nicest things in any church. Going up here to the second part of the stained glass window here, I love the fact we've got the representation of birth and rebirth again, just in this section here. Again, we've got the guy praying upwards to various angels. Again, there's the three angels, so there's a Trinity there. And then going up to the Jesus, or is it Jesus? I mean, if I looked at that personally, I'd look at that and say, well, that's Simon of Perea, to be honest. Which is a very interesting, we get a chance to read up on Simon of Perea. And then if we come along, we can see we've got how things change look. Now, the reason why I say it's more likely to be Simon of Perea from a Templar aspect is because if we come along the right-hand side window here at the top right there, we can see that there's a wounded Templar, yeah, and the lady with the blue robe is holding on to him. Is it Mary? I don't know. But if we go down to the next screen, we can see the Templars are being burnt. Can you see the fire there? And that fascinates me that that's in the church, the fiery part there. And obviously that down to rebirth again with the baby. So I would portray that as the childhood line of Christ, as it were, the anointed Christos. All it. Again, quite simple but very effective. I love the fact that we've got the cross within the cross, so we've got the Saltire cross as well, as it's known as the Saltire cross. There, in the middle section of the screen, I think you can see it almost in the naturally the Saltire cross along with the cross itself. Natural cross, quite pleasant. So you can see it's and when we get over here, look at this beautiful view. We've got a wonderful piece. Wow, look at the high water. We'll just get up over a little bit to see the clearer shots of it. Again, no surprise there, we've got the Alpha or Omega on the central piece there. We've got the Christ in the sense that's wounded. And we've got the interesting symbology down the bottom there of the actual artwork there, the little shield there. You see the Agnus Dei almost in the sense, I guess. And then to the right, we've got Jesus returning as an angel. And there's 3 women around him. But is it the Jesus returning? Or is that Michael coming with a message? So is the story in fact back to front, from right to left and not left to right? That's only down for yourselves, I guess, to think about. I'm just going through this way. We'll go, as my learned friend called it, the tradesman's entrance, which I think is quite a nice way to describe it. We're going to here to the lady chapel. And this is the most important part, really, to be fair. If we look at this, in the lady chapel, we just sort of focus on the main part here. There's some beautiful artistry work there. Now, the idea is for any viewer looking at this sort of artwork is to focus on the main middle parts. But we're not going to focus on that today, nor the left-hand side. What we're going to focus on, is the right-hand side. And we can see we've got these bits here. So as you can see on here, I don't know how much you can see here, the detail. So we've got this in a Trinity is absolutely amazing. Now, believe it or not, this is a representation of Michael himself. So you see he's got his bookworks out, he's got the Staff of Wisdom, interesting depiction of the Staff of Wisdom, or has he? Is he just holding on to the fence line there? So he's imprisoned within the chamber. I like it on his robes. I love the way he's holding his hands. I love it on his robes. We've got the dragons here, just into this section here, and we've got the scripture here at the bottom. But you have to get a really good close shot there to try and see what the scripture actually reads. That's very interesting scripture there. I love the fact we've got the bishop there holding a rather innate object, looking quite displeased with himself, I guess, really, because he's holding a heart. It's supposed to be the heart. The Sacred Heart, but the Sacred Heart here is not in red, the Sacred Heart here is in gold. And then here, I love this with Gabriel. And what Gabriel's got, he's got the dragon, look. Again, the dragon, we've seen this before, the dragon, the serpent coming out of the grail, the chalice. And he's almost like allowing the serpent to drink from the chalice itself, from the grail, which is quite interesting. This I think is quite interesting about at the bottom here. It represents self. And we can see by the way that the hands are being held here, in this section, that represents the self. And it's almost like that realisation that I exist, so therefore I am. That sort of phraseology, I guess. Comes in nicely. I like the fact that the Queen, inverted commas, but the Queen is holding lots of different colour red and yellow roses, which is lovely. Again in a blue robe, which is nice. So Is she a queen in this realm, in this particular dimension? Is she a queen upon the earth? Or is she classed as a queen in heaven? Who knows? Now there's an interesting point about the Queen of Heaven, because that represents Ishtar and also Inanna in an odd sense. So could that be a representation of Inanna? Who knows? To the right hand side, I think this is quite a fun piece really. It shows the greed of the church, and it shows the greed of how it's being hoarded looking. We can see the miser here, we can see the high bishop, and he's clasping the property there and holding it all for himself with all the jewels and things. So I think that's one thing that's really stands out in my mind, that it's as was said, you know, find me under a rock and I'll be there. You know, churches are people, they're not necessarily the buildings, but the buildings are helpful because they provide us with a library of events. They create a point in time that we can go back and look at. Now when we come here we can see a different style of the older style. On the other side we saw the modern versions, but on this particular artwork we see a slightly older style. What I like about it is the fact that we've got the Nanassian salutes. If you look at the bottom right there, the guy in the red, the chap in the red there, he's holding onto the hand of the maiden and he's actually saluting her with the correct salute, with two of the fingers folded, thumb out to the right and two fingers held. So that's quite interesting. I like the fact we've got the acacia split at the bottom there. The red here, the guy in the red again, which we think is the Jesus, but again he's holding some kind of gesture of the salute in his left hand this time, not the right. She's weeping at the bottom in the gold, so it's quite interesting, and he's praying as well. So I would suggest that these are disciples. These are definitely disciples. And then we see the Sarui Saru at the top, Sarui Saru, the crown of crowns, the king of kings, the crown held there, which is quite good. There's one thing that we're missing, the most intricate detail that we've missed so far, and I'll have to take you down the central aisle to show you that. I don't know how much you can see of it. We've got the trumpet statues here. Look. Just like making out the sound of the trumpets there, look, just on this particular piece, which is quite nice. Yes, and there's one on the other side, but it doesn't have the same representation. So you can see there's so much artwork in this building, it's amazing. And just to finish off, which would be really good, just for you to see this last piece here, so I can make a reference to the 6 Guardians of Time. I've never made a reference to that before, but the artwork's beautiful, but don't get distracted. It's the top section where we can see the sundial. Yeah, the circle within the circle, the sundial, we've got the 6 Guardians of Time. And that's the most important thing as well. So if there was anything else to take away from this church, I'd take away the trumpets, I'd take away the Trinity on the board, which is over there, and I'd take away the Guardians of Time, the 6 there. Holy Trinity Church, Watermore Road, Cirencestor, a wonderful place to come and visit.